All right, guys, happy Wednesday. Boy, oh boy, you are in for a treat. Honestly, it's The Truman Show. I am convinced that everything in the world has become increasingly fake, predictable, and gay. It's just like one big Hollywood set. In case you haven't seen The Truman Show, by the way, you hear people saying that, it's like The Truman Show. Basically, it was a 1998 movie about a guy named Truman Burbank who was adopted after an unwanted pregnancy. He doesn't know that he's actually been adopted onto a Hollywood set. Literally everything in his life is fake. It's a reality TV program that is filmed and broadcast worldwide 24/7. And it's like just an amazing concept. Like imagine if literally every person playing a role in your life was just an actor and you were just being cast unwittingly in this long experiment. Well, I think we are all now Truman Burbank. It's just a huge political show. So what do I have for you today? Well, first and foremost, sadly, there's been a school shooting in Georgia, and the response from the media and the politicians has been predictable. Also, a document has apparently leaked from Travis Kelce's PR firm. Purportedly, they're saying it's not actually a real document, which would suggest that everything that you saw between him and Taylor Swift, yeah, fake, gay, and predictable. But up first, I know what you guys are really here for. Let's get ready to rumble because I have a sneak peek for you guys into my debate with Rabbi Shmuley, which is going to be airing on Piers Morgan tonight. And guess what? Shmuley was predictable. Honestly, maybe not. I started defending pedophilia or pedophiles in Israel or saying it wasn't real. Whatever. I'm going to tell you all about that. Welcome to The Truman Show. Yeah, Rabbi Shmuley is definitely having a mental breakdown right now. I see you guys in the comments talking about how he's just spiraling online. He really is spiraling online. I'll give you the background. I got a phone call from the producers at Piers Morgan. They were like, hey, would you like to have the debate with Rabbi Shmuley? I've always been open to a debate with Rabbi Shmuley. I'm actually open to debate with everybody who would like to debate their ideas. Zionists, more to the point, radical Zionists who think that you can just keep calling everybody anti-Semitic who has disagreement with you. And then you get to call up your homies in media and get them to smear people because you don't actually have a good explanation for what's happening in Israel, or you simply don't like to hear opposing thoughts and ideas. It's really crappy. We're really right back to the BLM stage where everyone was a racist who disagreed with BLM. And so, yeah, I was game to do it. What I somewhat thought, okay, obviously it's Rabbi Shmuley. He's just going to come at me with ad hominem attacks. And I'm going to be able to expose his entire thought process. And his entire thought process, in my view, is that he's a Jewish supremacist. There's white supremacy, black supremacy, and yes, of course, there is Jewish supremacy. And so I was very keen to do it. Well, before I show you a clip from that, let's just talk about Rabbi Shmuley right now, because we have live takes from Rabbi Shmuley on Twitter. Because when you lose as badly as he lost in this debate by just being himself, you just have to prepare your followers. If you have followers, I don't know why Rabbi Shmuley has any followers, but he does. And you have to prepare them, like basically give them an excuse for why you just were terrible, why you failed them so badly, despite hyping the crowd days leading up to the event, right? He kept being like, Candace is this, and I'm going to do this to her, and I'm going to do this to her. I mean, he's like a chihuahua, yap, 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 yap. And like, sometimes you just want to kick that. I am not saying I kicked a chihuahua. I'm just saying that Rabbi Shmuley is like clearly always barking the entire time. So he's already tweeted this, which is absolutely hilarious in his spiral. Breaking news, Candace Owens illegally brought a laptop with her to my debate today on Piers Morgan. Let's just pause right there. What do you mean I illegally brought a laptop? Do you mean I was seated in this chair where I always have my laptop? Do me a favor, guys, go pivot. I did an interview last week with, it's called ADH-TV Australia. Chris Smith, I had my laptop with me. I did another interview, the Kyle and Jackie O show, Australia. I had my laptop with me. I just have my laptop with me because typically when I'm doing these interviews, I'm prepping my show. And it's not illegal, by the way, to have a laptop in front of you. I'm not breaking any laws, but that's what he began with. She illegally brought a laptop with her. And He says, to cheat during the debate and Google answers to my questions. I still destroyed her completely and utterly, as you'll see. But what cowardice, how deceptive. Confirmation that Candace is a hollow, vacuous shell filled with nothing but racism and anti-Semitism. But the fact that Piers Morgan allowed her, without telling me, to bring an actual computer onto the set so she could Google during the actual debate answers to all of my questions and challenges is a stain on his reputation as a journalist and on the show. Imagine I was not debating Candace Owens. I was debating Google. I've done thousands of debates in my life, and this is the first time I've ever seen such treachery. The producers allowed it and never informed me, making the debate a farce, and I still pulverized her. He then demanded an apology from Piers Morgan. Do the right thing and apologize. I want a debate in its entirety to air ASAP, but tipping the scales in favor of one participant is so ridiculously undermines your credibility as a journalist. Obviously, this is just a bunch of hot air. He is very much embarrassed about his performance. I'm going to show you what he's actually referring to. It was an entire hour and 2-minute debate. And there was only one section where I fact-checked something that he said because he was making such a fuss out of it. Again, I'm going to show you that. But first, look at what he's already put on Instagram in anticipation of the reaction to our debate. This is Rabbi Shmuley mere moments ago on Instagram.
Hi, everyone. I just completed my full 1-hour debate against Candace Owens. Get this. You'll watch it. You'll make your own determinations. I exposed all of her vile Jew hatred and her detestation of her own community, of the black community. But here's what's fascinating. She actually had a computer during the debate. She would make statements like Israel bombed this and this. And when I would ask her, what's your source? She would then look it up. Going to dead, first of all, it's very unfair to Piers, going to dead air on air. But could you imagine? She brought a computer. You can't make this up. I've done thousands of debates in my life. This is the first debate I have ever done where my opponent actually brought all the information in the world via Google to my debate. Well, isn't she knowledgeable?
Yeah. Sounds like a guy who knows that he has lost. Anyways, here's the real background of what happened. You know, as I said, and this must have been 45 minutes into the debate. And for whatever reason, these radical Zionists like him think it's a good idea to compare what Israel is doing to things like Dresden. You know, oh, well, guess what? The Allies bombed Dresden. So who cares if we're bombing Palestinian children? And what I remarked to him is what a ridiculous comparison, because it was a war crime what we did to in Dresden. It was an absolute war crime, you know, to do that on the eve of Ash Wednesday to incinerate Christians. This is not something that I agree with. So when you have to use an example like that to justify what you're doing, that is not, in fact, a good thing. That is not a strong argument. And then I brought up to him the point that actually, if you're going to compare to Dresden, Israel has dropped more tons of explosives on Gaza than we did on Dresden. And I told him that because I had read it so many times. And of course, what people will do when you're in a debate and they actually can't refute what you're saying is they'll get real particular, like, what is your exact source for this? And so that's exactly what he did. He heard me say that and he started pushing for an exact source. Take a listen.
First of all, Candace just said that Israel dropped more bombs on Gaza than on Dresden. What's your source for that? Do you know that in Dresden, there were 1,000 Lancaster bombers sent over 2 nights by Churchill, and then 800 American, that's 1,800 bombs. What's your source that Israel dropped more than on Dresden?
So it's just interesting because you realize that you used Dresden as an example to justify what was happening in Israel.
Piers, this is deflection.
I said more tons of explosives.
Israel, you just made a blood libel against the Jewish state.
I roll. I am so tired of this when you just get to say it's a blood libel, it's anti-Semitism. What's your source? It's like, okay, are you actually refuting any of the points? Do you want to get really particular about what the source is? And of course, since, as I said, this was about 45 minutes on, or at least it felt that way, into the debate. And I said, oh, actually, well, I do have a laptop here. Would you like me to truly source that? Because I've read it so many times. And Piers allowed me to source it. And I, at first, let him know, beyond sourcing it, that we're all very tired of this. We're all very tired of ad hominem attacks and being called names and being accused of blood libel and Holocaust denial if we have something to say about a foreign nation that, factually speaking, doesn't have anything to do with Jewish Americans if we have an issue with what Bibi Netanyahu is doing. Take a listen to the rest of that back forth. this tactic of when anybody brings up anything that Israel is doing is wrong, you get to just scream blood libel and anti-Semitism and, oh my gosh, it's a blood libel. It is not a blood libel to talk about the amount of death and the tons of explosives that have been dropped on the civilians in Palestine, okay? That is not a blood libel against Jewish people. This is such a nasty and perverted tactic, which essentially says, I don't have to debate anymore because I get to just call everybody a person who's accusing me of blood libels. Okay, truly, what is happening right now is that the blood of Palestinians is being shed. Okay, that is not a libel against the Jews. That is a fact and a reality against Bibi Netanyahu and this government, which has gone extreme in their response to October 7th. So stop this tactic.
Understood. Piers, can I now have my turn again? All I asked was the source. Clearly, she has none. It was invented out of whole cloth. That's what a blood libel is.
So 2,700 tons of bombs were dropped on Dresden in an 800 bomber air raid. And that is according to Britannica, the encyclopedia.
And what was the tonnage of bombs dropped in Gaza?
In Gaza, it was 70,000 tons of explosives were dropped in the Gaza Strip. And I got that from CNN.
Through the duration of the war today, is that the timescale?
Yes.
Okay. So Rabbi Shmuley, that
which they're saying has surpassed
so let's be clear.
Dresden, Hamburg, and London during World War II.
She's comparing an 11-month war to a single night in Dresden. That's clearly absurd. I'm glad that she has her cheat sheet, her computer in front of her. But notice, she made this statement,
you called it a blood libel,
not knowing what she was talking about.
Just a moment, please. Hang on. What she said, to be clear, was that the Israeli...
It's also in the New York Times.
The Israeli Defense Force had dropped more bombs on Gaza than were dropped on Dresden. That is true. You accept that, Rabbi Shmuley?
You know, Piers, I find this an astonishing debate.
You ask?
Wait. First of all, I don't... Wait. What do you mean it's true? Because she said it's true?
No, do you accept
Do you
that's
have fact checkers?
The New York Times says it's true.
Is this a serious show?
It's just amazing to watch people do this. It's always the exact same tactics. What's your exact source? Okay, well, fine. If you're really going to push on this, I mean, I've read it so many times. I'm sorry if I couldn't go back in my mind and instantly go, did I read that in Reuters? Did I read that in the encyclopedia? Like, it's a pretty well-known thing that that's what's happening. It's why the entire world is now reacting to what's happening in Gaza. It's not because everyone's anti-Semitic. It's because people have a response to innocent women and children being bombed into oblivion, okay? And you will see throughout that entire thing, I didn't want to scoop Piers entirely, but back and forth, it just goes on like this, ad hominem attack, but that is the only time that I used a computer, but it is not the only time that Rabbi Shmuley is proven to be a liar. It's all he can do, lie and smear. And then he had the audacity to call himself the second coming of Christ when he was rebutting me. If she's a Christian, then I'm the second coming of Christ. You blaspheme. You are despicable. And like I said, it has run its natural course. All of this name calling. Yesterday, Tucker is doing Nazi apologetics by hosting a historian on his show. It has now reached its limit. People are tired of it worldwide. Nobody believes you anymore, okay? Nobody believes that suddenly all of these people who were on board, most of all, people like me who literally spent the first couple of years of my career stumping on behalf of Israel. Like, I was like working for Zionists. I never had a bad picture of what Zionism was. And all of that changed after October 7th when I started seeing people like Rabbi Shmuley, when I started seeing how the media ruthlessly attacks and smears people for asking questions. When the Zionist movement began being represented by people like Rabbi Shmuley and people that are in the media who are nasty, okay, who lie like they don't even have any morals. They have no standards. They don't care. Their job is, I want to hurt you because you don't agree with me. When I began to see that, I decided to depart from Zionism. When I saw Palestinian children being blown up and seeing all of the images and the videos that I saw on X, and I saw radical Zionists in the media just like, oh, well, that's what you get. Such an inhumane response. I decided to depart Zionism. So it's you, Rabbi Shmuley, and people that are like you that are the reason that Israel is facing a PR crisis right now, okay? And if you want to claw it back, it's not going to be through these strategies of bullying. these strategies of saying, well, you agree with us, so you're not going to Australia. Okay. That thug life is not working out for you, but keep trying it. Let's see. Anyways, you guys, I would pivot over for sure and make sure you catch that debate in its entirety tonight, which will be airing on Piers Morgan. We'll give you more of that content tomorrow. And I'm really keen to see what you guys think. And I'm specifically saying this to the Christians that follow me who have wanted to know why it is that many Christians are now turning away and saying, I can't support this nation anymore. I can't wait to hear what you have to say. To the Jewish Americans, who also have been called anti-Semitic, by the way. Self-hating Jews actually is the term. When you watch this back and forth, do you agree with it? I'm very keen to see your response. Anyways, you guys, I want to remind you about the Hallow app, because I know there's many people who want to have a deeper prayer life but don't know where to start. Well, Hallow understands that, which is why I'm so excited to tell you about Hallow's new prayer challenge, How to Pray. Prayer can be such a challenging thing to undertake, but it doesn't have to be overwhelming. Hallow's new prayer challenge will take you through short daily sessions over the next 2 weeks with an all-star lineup of spiritual leaders and guests, giving you all of the essentials to creating a rich prayer life. They'll teach you how to pray through scripture, how to do imaginative prayer, how to incorporate prayers that have been around for centuries, and so much more. You'll get a new guide every day, and some of the guides include Father Mike Schmitz, Jonathan Rumi, who plays Jesus in The Chosen, and Mark Wahlberg, and many others. The only way we can get through these crazy times is by setting first things first, which is getting closer to God, and prayer is the best way to do that. So download the Hallow app for 3 months free at hallow.com/Candace. That's hallow.com/Candace. So this is a pretty big story that is breaking, and I will give you the background. You probably have seen this trending. And yes, this is like a poppy story, but it's quite interesting, and it kind of fits into this theme of the Truman Show, because I think there are so many men who love American football and have been following it. And last year, it wasn't even American football anymore. It became like the Travis Kelce and the Taylor Swift show, because every relationship she gets in, for whatever reason, we have no option but to engage. It's like the algorithm is just like, you will like Taylor Swift, and this is her dream, and she's getting her prince. And it was almost like too perfect, right? It's like, not only did they just start dating and they're so in love, and now she's cheering with her A-listers, and then he wins the Super Bowl. Like, it was like if I had to sit down and write a script for like a teeny bopper high school movie, that would have been last season's football season. And okay, he won, he gets the girl, and he gets the ring, and it felt a little like, I don't want to say it because she has so many fans, but just like we're watching the same scene over and over again, depending on what's going on in her life. And she was coming out of a 5-year relationship, which was very private. This one was obviously the exact opposite. It was super public. Well, guess what happened yesterday? Well, Travis Kelce's team is saying that they're calling in lawyers over a leaked contract that claimed to reveal the exact date that his relationship with Taylor Swift would end. Unbelievable. His representatives, this is Travis Kelce's representatives, had to come out, and they had to deny that there were plans for him and Taylor Swift to split later this month after a document that was written on the headed paper of Travis Kelce's U.S. PR company was spread online. It appeared to have actually been legit. If you look at the paper, it's full scope PR revealing at length a strategy. It was multiple pages, by the way, a strategy of what they would say publicly in a statement. They had examples. Travis and Taylor had decided to part ways after careful consideration. They both value and respect each other's personal lives and appreciate your respect for privacy during this time. They are both committed to their careers and personal growth. They remain friends and wish each other the best. The paperwork also stated that the announcement would focus on Mr. Kelce's personal growth by framing the breakup as a natural part of life, and that it would also highlight his commitment to his career and his ongoing achievements in the sports industry. So yeah, super interesting, but you had Full Scope come out and they said, no, this is not real. It's entirely false. It's fabricated. We never even hired a girl named Emily. Allegedly, this was sitting on Emily's desk. They said that they have never had an Emily ever, which I don't believe. There's always an Emily at a PR agency. I sniff that out as a lie. There's no way that you have this massive PR agency and you've never had an Emily. Everyone knows there's an Emily at every single one of these agencies. And so they got a little bit of egg on their face, and people are wondering, there hasn't been yet a response from Taylor Swift. Is it plausible that somebody really typed up this multiple page document and put it on their desk and pretended that they found it and set the internet ablaze? Sure. I mean, that's quite an elaborate hoax, just as like, do people not have bigger things to do than to type a multi-page document and know even that Full Scope was representing Mr. Kelce. But the other thing, and this is why people are going, okay, there might be something here, is that Full Scope PR, at Full Scope PR, is Jack Ketosian, and Pia Malihi. And Mr. Ketosian has outwardly come out before. It's his firm, and he has said that he does set up relationships for publicity. Like this would not be the first time that he's done that. And typically it's when one person needs the press and they are trying to make them a big star, and they decide to just set them up in a relationship. And I think we actually have an audio clip of Jack, who, again, is the person that's being represented by Travis Kelce, the person that's representing Travis Kelce, speaking on a podcast about these arranged relationships in Hollywood. Take a listen.
Celebrity publicist and author of the books Blind Item and Guilty Pleasure, Jack Ketosian can spot a bromance a mile away. In fact, he set up 2 of them himself. Jack, what are the clues we can keep an eye out for when trying to spot a bromance?
The main clue you would see is if, a certain high-profile male is dating a female who was not high-profile, and all of a sudden overnight they are the most talked about girl in Hollywood and everyone wants a piece of them. That is the biggest thing that, it's such a career boost for a female that, some females end up taking the deal because it just, like I said, overnight they become a household name.
When you say male celebrity, is this not something that happens the other way around?
No, of course it happens, but it's more common on the male side of it than the female side of it, to be honest with you.
Because following celebrities is important, but understanding that everything that you see in Hollywood is fake. You are watching a reality TV show that is being magnified for the entire world, and yet you have so many people who are following these individuals. They're able to create entire trends, entire brands, entire movements like feminism, Me Too, all if they find the right 2 people to cast. That's why I say that it's like the Truman Show. So this is an interesting story to watch, because if it is revealed that this is in fact true, well, first off, it's going to deal a significant blow to Taylor Swift and her brand, but I also think that it will verify a lot of the things that we're saying about the evils of Hollywood, the monstrosity that Hollywood has become, and essentially just prove our point that the more that we abstain from these people, the more that we abstain from following the lives of these people or believing that anything that we're watching is real, the better it will be for our society. All right, guys, I really want to get into this manifesto. I want to talk about the Georgia high school shooting. I first am just going to thank another one of our sponsors. I think you guys probably saw me, by the way, on Instagram, seeing my face looking good. Like, my skin's been so good now that I'm not pregnant right now. And I was showing you guys how I use Nimi skincare, because I would never tell you to use something that I don't actually use. And I use it every single day, in the morning and at night. It's my favorite skincare brand. Nimi has come to be known as America's skincare company because they formulate and manufacture all of their products here in the USA while supporting pro-American causes and organizations. Nimi skincare is true American luxury skincare at affordable prices. They have everything that you need to build an awesome daily skincare regimen to cleanse, brighten, and protect, and to help fight against the key signs of aging. Another reason I love them is because they are Christian-led. They stand firm in their values: faith, family, freedom. If you sign up right now at NimiSkincare.com for a subscription, you'll save 15% on your routine and save an additional 5% if you use code Candace at checkout. Plus, you'll receive a free gift on every 3rd order. So if you're not sure where to start, take their skincare quiz to find the perfect routine for your skin. That's NimiSkincare.com, promo code Candace today. All right, so it is trending all over Twitter at the moment, and it is very sad because the school year just got started. You're going, okay, how could there already be a shooting when the school year just got started? And there is one, and we can just basically tell you what is up to date. By the way, in the control room, if you guys just want to let me know if there's been anything new. I don't think they've yet released a name, and we're not going to float one or circulate one, but the details are as follows. The 4 people have been verified killed in a shooting at Appalachian High School in Winder, Georgia, and that's according to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. Another 9 people have been taken to hospitals with injuries, the borough said. The shooter is believed to be a 14-year-old boy, but it is unknown whether or not he attended the school, a law enforcement said to CNN. The law enforcement officials in Georgia say that they received a phone call this morning warning that there would be shootings at 5 schools, and that Appalachia would be the first. So a lot of questions there. If they got a warning, why didn't they immediately vacate all students everywhere? Maybe they thought that it was like just a prank phone call, but I think these are the sorts of pranks that we should be taking seriously, of course. The first victim in the shooting has been identified as a special education math teacher named David Phoenix, and his son said, "We are so thankful for all the text calls and messages about my dad. There was a shooting this morning and my dad was shot in the foot and in the hip, shattering his hip bone." His daughter, Katie, wrote in a Facebook update about her dad's condition. Quote, "He arrived to the hospital alert and awake. He just got out of surgery and is stable. We will update as we hear new information. We are so lucky, but please keep our family as well as AHS family in your prayers." So they're supposed to be giving us another update on the shooting soon. They're asking everybody to wait, so that they can collect all of the information. And I will be honest, just, Winder is about an hour outside of Atlanta in Georgia. It has a population of about 18,300 people. And I'm going to be honest, when you hear these stories, it is like, I don't want to sound like I'm not compassionate, because of course there's nothing more terrifying than the idea of your children going, to school where you would hope that they would be safe, and then you get a phone call and you don't know what's going on. So truly, when we say, like, really think about those parents and what they're going through and the trauma of that, you can't feel anything but compassionate. But on the other side, it's like you just feel so angry about what you know is coming, right? Which is calls for guns to be banned, and they didn't even wait for them to announce who the shooter was or for any details. And you already had Karine Jean-Pierre hit the stand and say, this is why we're calling for a ban on guns. And that, I think, is what people are so tired of. Like the very predictable left versus right. Nobody actually cares about what's happening to the students. They don't actually even care to have a solution. They just want to see if they can quickly pass through their policies, right? Because if we ever cared about finding a real solution to any of these school shootings, we would be looking at Big Pharma, right? So what they never want to talk about is Big Pharma, the drugs that these kids are on. They never want to speak about that, because imagine if we realize that a lot of these kids are facing mental issues, truly because America and the West, but particularly America, has become a mental asylum. Like, we actually encourage mental illness here. We celebrate it. We celebrate people online talking about their various mental illnesses. We celebrate people online. TikTok, I have showed you videos of young girls getting their fallopian tubes removed because somebody convinced them that becoming a mother is something that they would never be able to do. My body, my choice. They're terrified about the prospect of being able to have children. Like, we have become, in and of itself, a mental asylum, and we are passing out drugs like Halloween candy, right? A kid comes in with a feeling, and I'm not kidding. I've talked about this before. A feeling. I'm talking, I had a breakup with my high school boyfriend and was crying, and I was 19 years old, 18 years old, and they offered me Xanax. They wrote me a prescription for Xanax, and had it not been for this girl that was in my dorm, Zoe, who was like, "Why are you taking that? You don't need to take that." Who knows if I would have taken Xanax for the rest of my life. She was just like, "Throw this out. You're sad. That's a human emotion. Go experience that human emotion," right? We don't have this anymore. We have a bunch of pathetic parents who trust the doctors blindly, right? Who take their kids every time they have a feeling. "I'm anxious. Oh, okay, let me put you on pills. I am excited. Okay, let's get you on pills. Your 3-year-old is not wanting to sit down and pay attention in class. Yeah, maybe because he's 3. Oh, no. He needs to be on pills. He has attention deficit hyper disorder," which I think is another fancy way of saying, like, he's hyper and he's a kid. We are just mass diagnosing everybody and becoming more extreme in those diagnoses, right? Now we're like, okay, I used to just be able to go through an awkward phase as I'm 13. It's weird to go through being 13, and you're a girl and you're wondering if you're going to get boobs, if you're ever going to, if you got a butt, if you're going to get hips, and nobody likes to go through that phase, and kids are dressing weird and not feeling themselves. And now if you're like, hey, ever think that you were born in the wrong body? We've got a pill for that too. And we've got surgeries and procedures for that too. We've got people marching in the street demanding that you have a right to radically change your perfect body that isn't even done growing up, because I don't know, if you're not allowed to, if we treat you like you're a kid, not an adult, that should be allowed to make those decisions, and it's because we're a hateful society. Okay? So I just can't stand this song and dance where nothing is ever going to be solved. It's not going to be solved. Because on the left, all you have is this radical desire to take the guns from law-abiding citizens, as if this 14-year-old legally acquired a gun, and if only there were more laws, he would have listened to them. I mean, it defies common sense, but they're going to try to push that, scare parents. Yeah, Give the government your guns. That makes a lot of sense, especially following COVID. Yeah, I really trust the government after COVID. I really just can't see America veering into a totalitarian state when I had to sit down and listen to the government tell me that I was a sinner, a terrible backwards killer because I wanted to go see my family on Thanksgiving. Yeah, let's really trust that government and that media to have all the guns. Like, I think that's a really good idea. Not. And so, yeah, I mean, pardon, but like, I think we are all just so tired of the same song and dance, the same political game where there's never going to be any results until we realize that the inmates are running the asylum. That's the reality. The inmates are running the asylum. The policies that these kids are even having forced through. I mean, don't even have to tell your mom if you're changing your gender in a classroom. Like, that's what politicians are trying to do. While at the same time, they make statements like, oh, this shooting is another terrible example of why government must have all your guns. It just missed me entirely. Further on that same topic, by the way, we now have more of the manifesto from the elementary school shooter. Remember the Covenant School shooting that happened just down the street from me here? It was so horrific because you just go, what kind of a person? Like, what kind of a human being? How miserable and selfish and backward of a human being do you have to be to open fire on school children that are in elementary school? And that's what happened last year. And the media was more concerned with protecting the transgendered status of Audrey Hale, making sure people were using the right pronouns to discuss a mass murderer. That's where we're at right now in our society. Well, guess what? They have now released more excerpts from the manifesto, which they essentially locked down. And I will read to you some of the quotations of what Audrey Hale wrote, Audrey Elizabeth Hale, in the manifesto. Audrey Hale, she wrote, if God won't give me a boy body in heaven, then Jesus is a F word that rhymes with maggot. I can't be happy. I am meant to die. No regrets by the gun. It's a terrible feeling to know that I am nothing of the gender I was born of, and I am the most unhappy boy alive. I will be of no use of love for any girl if I don't have what they need. Boy's body, male gender. And so you just see repeatedly that Hale fantasized about being a male, referring to herself as a boy's name. Aiden also went by the name Tony. So there was multiple personalities going on there, and wrote extensively about her imaginary penis. Now, once upon a time, you used to be allowed to look at that and say, hey, this person is having mental issues and this person needs to therefore deal with these mental issues. But you can't say that anymore. No, we have to tiptoe around how we talk about Audrey Hale. We have to be kind now to homicidal maniacs and murderers so long as they hit the non-binary or trans box. Seriously, what the hell are we doing, America? What are we doing? All of it just really and honestly sickens me. And that's all that I want to say on that topic. I also want to take a brief second, you guys, to talk to you about Native Path Collagen. It's made with collagen fibers found in your cartilage, bones, skin, hair, nails, and gut. Native Path Collagen is a single ingredient formula with no fillers, additives, or artificial sweeteners. Plus, it's third-party tested for heavy metals, ensuring purity and safety. Native Path's collagen formula is made with ingredients that are scientifically backed to increase bone mineral density, support tissue recovery, reduce wrinkles, enhance hair thickness, and strengthen weak or damaged nails. Completely flavorless Native Path Collagen can be added to anything, coffee, smoothies, oatmeal, you name it. Right now, when you visit nativepath.sale/Candace, you can stock up on Native Path Collagen for up to an incredible 45% off today, plus free shipping. Every order comes with a 365-day money-back guarantee, so you can try it risk-free today. Native Path offers amazing bundle deals. You can get 3 or 6 packs at a fraction of the price of other brands. Visit nativepath.sale/Candace today. All right, guys, let me see some of your live comments. What do we have going on today in the chat? This person, I'm sure some of you guys are, it looks like they dropped the debate between me and Rabbi Shmuley early, so you can actually pivot over and go watch it. And yes, it is unbelievable. This person in the super chat said he's not of Judaic faith. He is a Frank. I called him out explicitly about his radical views. I called him out on his Jewish supremacy, and he was unable to answer or account for it. I called him out on who his mentor was. And it is a fact that he refers to a man man known as Rabbi Schneerson as his mentor, and that Rabbi Schneerson was in fact a Jewish supremacist who believed that non-Jews had filthy souls, had satanic souls. And Rabbi Shmuley just didn't even want to talk about that. He just, you'll see, didn't even want to address it because it is factual. Claudia says, Candace, please make shirts that say Catholic gang gang. I should. It's so funny because as soon as I became Catholic, I was like, Catholic gang gang. My husband was like, why are you saying that? Why are you saying Catholic gang gang? I was like, I don't know. It's just like fun to say. Catholic gang gang. I just like it. I should sell shirts that say that. The Irish priestess writes, Rabbi Shmuley is under demonic possession. Well done, Candace, for remaining composed and classy. Thank you. And I did tell him that I believe that he was possessed by a demon because he is. And he said, that's ad hominem. I'm like, no, that's not ad hominem. That's actually my faith. You are possessed by a demon. I believe that Rabbi Shmuley needs an exorcism. You can look at him. The eyes really are the window to the soul. And so it's so interesting to be next to a person who's trying to convince the public that I'm unhinged and that I'm hateful. And you can just see it spilling out of him. He can't hide it. You know, when you are possessed with like that in the way that he is, it's not something that you can hide from the world for long. And I think that's a lot of the reason, by the way, not just speaking to him, that a lot of people in media who have been radicalized by Zionism are similarly losing their platforms, losing their careers, losing their following, because people see that in them too. You sense this darkness in them where you're going, whoa, what's wrong with you? We're talking about like dead children. I don't care what race they are. That's sad. And they don't feel that way. And so, like I said, when people see that sort of radicalism, they respond to it, and that's what we're facing today. Inspector Closo writes, please read Supermob by Gus Russo. Ties together with politics, Hollywood, and the mob, which infiltrated into our government in the 1940s, etc., and how they do it. Yes, I have realized that. The mob definitively began Hollywood, which is why it's very funny when people say that you can't imply or suggest that there's gangs in Hollywood. Buddy, Hollywood is gangs. That's how Hollywood got started. The bootlegger started Hollywood. And so it relies on ignorance for people to say that it's not. Still maintaining that, and I think it's gotten increasingly more demonic over the years, and a lot of these deaths that are happening in Hollywood are not because of drug overdoses. People are not, they are dying of drug overdoses, they're being overdosed, as I like to say. Joe Sellers writes, God bless you for what you do. I cannot wait to see you grow as a Catholic. Thank you for saying that, and you will see that Rabbi Shmuley in that back and forth, he has hatred for Catholics. That was very apparent. So exactly what he was accusing me of having hatred for Jews is actually how he feels about Christians. I sensed that as he kept just saying awful things about the Catholic faith and about the Catholic Church, and I just sat there and took it because, as I said, Rabbi Shmuley was doing me a tremendous favor because everything that I have been saying, he then provided a worldwide example of exactly that. And there's no person that can watch that and not walk away and realize that radical Zionism is a problem. There are no articles being written wall to wall about Rabbi Shmuley. There are no calls for people saying Rabbi Shmuley should not be allowed into Australia or New Zealand, as there are calls for me not to be let in to another country. Why is that? Why aren't those the same media henchmen going after him despite his nastiness, despite him telling people they're going to lose their jobs? We're coming for you. There's none of that for Rabbi Shmuley, and there's a reason for that, because that is Zionism. It is tribal in essence, where they will tear apart somebody who's done nothing and allow somebody who's done so much to just stay in the loop, still be allowed to write columns, have a job, show up for speeches. It makes entirely no sense other than to view it as a form of racial supremacy. And that's exactly what I believe that it is. This person writes in the live chat, thanks for standing for Jesus Christ, Candace. Thank you so much. This person writes that Rabbi Shmuley is entitled. He never admits any wrongdoings. I totally agree with that. That rabbi is a creep. I totally agree with that. This person says, you're not coming to New Zealand. Yes, I am coming to New Zealand. I haven't had any issues with New Zealand. I don't know about Australia. Go online, buy tickets, by the way. And if you want to come see me in New Zealand, you can do that. Just Google Candace Owens New Zealand tickets and it should pop right up. Same for Australia. And it's good to see that there has been a response to me calling out Australia yesterday. And there, I think, will similarly be a response to me calling out radical Zionists, full stop, for even calling for me to be canceled from giving speeches. The world is going to awaken to this sort of nastiness because it must. You can't commit these acts of evil and get away for it for long. So no matter what happens, God is in control. And I remain optimistic. I remain positive. I remain hopeful. And I remain grateful, above and beyond anything else. I remain grateful to all of you for continuing to invest in this show and allowing me to remain independent. And for those of you that haven't, you can support the show by going to locals.com and finding us there. You can give a gift, or you can go to clubcandace.com and buy a Candace cup. No matter what, you guys, we will see you tomorrow.